everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with part 3 and 4 of Triggers. It's been long awaited, and today I have my mother with me, and today we're going to discuss fear. So yeah, we're going to get right into it, and to start, I'm going to have my mom read this passage.
When fear dominates us, it short circuits the full experience of who we are. Fear revokes our freedoms to be ourselves. Thus, to fear is to doubt our own power, to stunt it, to crimp our full human stature. We sometimes fear having power, and that disempowers us even further. We believe we have no inner resources, and that is at the mercy of triggers. Most fear is terror that our own carefully constructed and continually refortified citadel of control over our feelings will fall. What we really fear are the uncontrollable bodily sensations and reactions that will accompany the release from fear and from trauma too.
What is fear? Let's start there.
What is fear? Good question. Fear is being afraid, is not stretching ourselves to our full capacity because we're afraid of failing or we're afraid of falling. We're just afraid that we won't get it right. So as a result of not having confidence in ourselves or confidence in our abilities, we tend to stay away from trying out new things because we feel like if we do it, well, what if we fail? And because we're afraid of the reactions of the people around us, of the community around us, we are afraid of what people will say if we don't get it right. And so as a result, we don't do things because we're afraid to fail and we're afraid of what people will say about us if we don't get it right.
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to my head when I think of what is fear is not knowing the unknown, not knowing what's next, not knowing what's ahead, not understanding what's behind. Is just the unknown, the realm of the unknown, and that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot to think about, and it's understandable why that could, bring about that fear of, having power, like the passage mentions, and it crimping our style and not being able to show ourselves in the brightest light because of the unknown or because of what we don't understand. So I guess my next question is, in what moment in your life were you the most afraid?
In what moment of my life was I the most afraid? I would say being pregnant and having a kid. It was a scary experience because you hear all these stories about how the birthing experience is extremely painful, and so you have no idea what to expect, and so you just sit there wondering, imagining, and giving yourself all these scary thoughts as to what could possibly happen. And but then when you actually do go through the experience, it's not even as bad as you thought. Because
for some,
for some, I should say, for some, yeah. But for me, it was all the expectation that I had put into it, and all the fear that all the pain and all the stuff that I was expecting to get out of it was not even anywhere near what I experienced. What I experienced was not even that bad at all. And so I kind of then looked back and thought, well, what was the hype about? Why do people feel like it's such a painful experience? I mean, the pain lasts but a nanosecond and it's gone. And literally, once the baby's out and you hold this kid, the pain is forgotten. It's it doesn't even matter anymore.
Right. And in the first sentence, he says, fear dominates us. It short circuits the full experience of who we are. And not just who we are, but the full experience of birth, or the full experience of taking that risk, or the full experience of
what you can become.
Right. I want to talk a little bit more about how our expectations and surrounding and outside influences can sort of bring on a lot of fear into who we are and how we express ourselves and present ourselves.
Well, I would say that expectations from people around us, be it within your family, be it within your friend, your social group, your friends, culture, and all of those things, plays a large role in how we view ourselves and what we think our capacities and incapacities are. Because in the sense that when people have an expectation of what they think you should be, that's one thing. And then you have an expectation of what you think you should be. But as a result, you don't become what you should be because you are also allowing outside influences to to help you make decisions or to help you shape what you should be because of what people expect of you. So that's the one thing that also, kind of determines who you become, because you're allowing the outside influences. And then sometimes you find people that don't are called the black sheep of the family, or they're called radicals or that kind of thing, because they're
outsiders.
because they've allowed themselves to separate themselves from the expectations and the opinions of others, and have decided to blaze their own path and become who they are and explore their full potential without being afraid of what people expect or what people want or demand from them. But again, risk is not for everybody, and it's not everybody that will be comfortable stepping out of their comfort zones. And I think that great minds will step out of the comfort zones because they want to know what's on the other side. And like you're saying, that the cultural norms have changed, especially in the last 2 years. Things that we thought were normal are no longer normal. And so because of that, we all have had to transform ourselves, and we've had to change our mindsets on things that we regarded as normal things, or as things that were part of daily things. Now we have to be careful, we have to be more careful, we have to be more creative in the way we spend our time, we have to be more creative in the way we do things,
more inclusive.
And so we have to literally do things a lot more differently than we did before. So I would say that in this culture that we're living in now, there's a lot of transformation, and things that we used to be afraid of before, we are no longer afraid of because of the way things have turned out. Because for most people, the norm of working from home and getting paid as a full-time employee was not something that we ever imagined would be. But right now, companies are having their employees work from home. And the norm of, having children go to school online, that was never thought of or heard of. But hey, for 2 years, we've done it. For the last 18 months, it's been a reality. So as human beings, we adapt to situations. Hence, when we allow fear to get in the way, we don't experience our full potential. Because in the last 18 months, we've seen what we're able to do and what we're able to cope with.
I think that's a good point, and that speaks a lot on the fear of change and how change is something that's not necessarily the easiest to get used to. And like you said, the last 18 months we've gone through a significant amount of change, and for some people that's a very hard thing to do. It's like, how do you then stop living life the way that you've been living life for the last 10 years and just readjust? Like, readjusting isn't easy. It doesn't come for everybody, and you said something along the lines of great minds will allow themselves to see their full potential in the midst of a season of change. And then you have those who are like, I like how I was doing things, I'm gonna choose complacency. I'm gonna choose to conform. And it's like, where does the growth come in that? Something that you said a little bit earlier about how like the expectations have changed, and I want to talk about that as it relates to the modern day woman, and I want you to share a little bit about how that has changed from when you were coming up into your womanhood versus who you are as a woman today. What are those shifts in mindset, in status, in whatever, like how has that transformed over time for you?
Coming up, growing up culturally, you are expected to do so much more. Okay, you cook, you clean, you do all of those things, and then you're supposed to mother the children and take care of the household and be a wife. And for the most part, most women stayed home and took care of their kids. But now society, both mom and dad go to work. Everybody is pulling in an 8-hour shift, 12-hour shift, 16-hour shift, or whatever it is. And so roles have slightly adjusted and changed because everybody's working, everybody's putting in hours to try and make ends meet. And so, you begin to discover yourself as to what your attributes are, what are your strengths, what can you do. And most women are doing jobs that we never thought could be done by women. We have all of the many things out there, engineers, we have anything that a man can do, a woman can do. So we have literally a whole smorgasbord of things that you could do with yourself and with your life. And there's things that possibly some of us never thought we could do, but at some point we discovered, hey, I have the potential and I could do it. And so, so the outcome of it is that basically you can be anything, and you can be anything you want. The world's your oyster. You can literally choose whatever career you want, and there's more options out there than there used to be before. And there's certain things that we never thought were careers, like music, for starters. But some people are doing great with music. Others are doing great with acting. Others are doing great with having cooking shows or those kind of things and making a life. And people are on YouTube, people are on TikTok, Instagram, and making millions of dollars. And those things were never career options before. But right now, because of the shift that has had to be made, because of the changes that have come over the last 18 months, those things are now possibilities. So, there's a lot of things out there that we can do if we allow our minds to be open and if we let go of our fears and do the things that we love. Because now a job is no longer just about doing something for money. You could do something that you love and impact a whole lot of people and still get paid.
Growing into your power.
Yeah, so literally you're growing into your power.
And that's a perfect way to segue into your book. And so I want to talk about a little bit about your process and how you took that idea and basically ran with it and came up with a published book. And how that adds to the narrative of growing into your power and taking something and using it to influence others, taking something that you love and using it to influence others.
Okay, so my process was, I've always loved poetry, so I literally for many years was a closet poet. I just wrote for myself, for my own pleasure, and I started to share it over the years with a few friends who liked the stuff and who, urged me like, hey, you could do something with this and you could share it with other people and impact other people. So I did with a small group of friends, and they shared it with their friends, and so it kind of just grew from there. And so, I had some friends talking to me about, well, how about you publish it? Put it in a book, let other people out there see it. And so, during this pandemic time, I had a lot of time on my hands, so I kind of pulled together all the little scribblings of poetry that I had put together in little notebooks and in my phone over time. And I just compiled, a collection and put it out there, and it got published, and it's now on the market. And so the idea wasn't so much to, it was just something that I love to do, something that I enjoyed doing, something that was an outlet for me to be able to express myself, that I decided to just, share with everybody else. And, watching and hearing people tell you that something that you wrote impacted them in such a positive way is a great experience. It's life-changing in the sense that, you actually know that you've done something to uplift somebody's day, you've made a difference in somebody's life. That feeling beats anything that you could ever come across, because it feels like you've really done something that is worth doing, and you're also doing something that you enjoy doing. So it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you just pouring yourself out and sharing the things that you feel to be able to enrich and fortify and strengthen somebody else and just make somebody's day better.
I think to add to your point, I think another reason why people sort of buy into fear is because sometimes they need that extra push, they need that extra encouragement, somebody telling them, yeah, this is good, or you can do something with this. And so it's good to really surround yourself with people who are supporting you, who are helping you to challenge those fears so that you can show yourself in your truest light. Book is on Amazon, sold out, had to restock, big flex. Also on Barnes
Barnes
and
and
Noble,
Noble, and Walmart.com.
and Walmart.com. So if you haven't already, it is called Faith, Hope, and Love. It's a poetry devotional. So if you like your poetry and if you love Jesus,
Get a copy.
well, I want to talk a little bit about is there, because fear is a natural thing. I don't think fear is something that you can really avoid. So can good come out of fear?
So I feel like everybody out there is afraid.
Mm.
There's no person in this world that can definitely say that they're not afraid of anything, because we're all afraid of something. But certain people use their fear to propel them upward and not pull them down. So it just depends on how you choose to let fear become a part of you. Does it move you forward, or does it pull you backwards?
And something that this book by David talks about a lot is how triggers are a natural experience. It's how we react to them, how we respond to those triggers that sort of determines where we go from there. And so if you're using that fear to propel you, like you said, into, challenging yourself to move up or whatever, instead of being triggered into a fear response that inhibits you or stunts you from your growth, then that's where you kind of you fall. So it's really about how you choose to react to that fear, how you choose to react to those triggers in your life that will sort of write the next step for you, or change the narrative for you. So
fear can work for you or it can work against you. It just depends on what you decide.
I think that is a perfect way to end it. Fear can work for you or fear can work against you.
Just a reminder, get a copy of the book.
Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like, comment, and subscribe. And check out my blog. The link will be in the description below, as well as a link to the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and